All right, let's get started on changing out this FMS Atlas to a flatbed. So in the kit, it comes with pretty much everything you need. There are some optional light bars. This particular one goes with the kit. There's another one that actually works on the roll bar. So we're just gonna swap out to the flatbed. So first thing you need to do is take everything off the back, which is pretty simple. Mainly just need to remove some screws. These two, all three of these that are sort of diagonal in the back, and then do that on the opposite side. The other thing you'll do is you can just back these screws out here in order to take the tail lights off. You won't need to save these screws or set those screws aside. We won't reuse those. But all these, make note, these two are long screws and these three are short screws. Go ahead and set those aside because we'll end up reusing most of them. All right, next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and take these 4 screws off for the front of the roll cage. All right, so before we start putting it together, while we have this in hand, if you got the optional light bar, then that just simply goes together with the bucket lights inserted into the light bar. There are a couple screw holes there. This just screws into it. To mount it, you're going to mount it to the back side like so. Take one of the long screws that you took out when you took this part of the roll cage off, and that's what you'll use to mount it with. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside for just a second. So just keep all your long screws and short screws over here together. And so first thing we're going to do is take one of the little section here that the magnet goes in. It's going to mount right up front. So go ahead and get you one of the magnets that came in the kit. Go ahead and insert it into the slot. Doesn't really matter which direction. So we'll double check that before we put the other magnet in. So we're going to use the long screws from where we took apart the roll cage, and it doesn't really matter whether you turn it this way or turn it this way. I usually just do the magnet facing the front. All right, here's the front magnet piece. Next thing we're going to do, mount the lights on the back to these hinge blocks. So you will see they're basically just mirrored images of each other. Make note that there's a recess on one of these lower holes. That's really the only thing that's different between the two. The recess will go to the inside because the light will actually mount, and the screw will go through the hole that's recessed. So take one of the short screws, get it started just a little bit, and then the light is going to mount on the outside. I like to go ahead and put the light on before I actually mount the little blocks to the chassis, just because it's hard to get to these screw holes once these blocks are actually mounted to the chassis. All right. Now we're going to mount the blocks to these two screw holes here, sort of diagonal. So get you another one of your short screws that you removed from taking the chassis apart. We haven't used any screws from the kit yet, so we'll get to those whenever we actually put the flatbed together. You may actually have to bend the LED wires just a little bit to be able to get the screwdriver passed through there. If you do, just be extremely careful when you're bending those wires. You definitely don't want to break them or anything, so just be really careful with that. You may have a screwdriver that's small enough maybe to sort of squeak by there without having to bend them. So there we go. Got that side on. And then basically the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so that part is done for the chassis. So now we just need to see about putting the flatbed together. So quickest thing with that for me is I'm just going to take, there's two side rails. There's the back part, which has the hinge that will go on there. And then there's a piece that goes towards the front that the magnet will go into. And then there's the very front. So basically we just put it together like a picture frame. First, let's get the magnet in the correct orientation. So basically what I do is I'll take the truck and I'll just let the magnet fall down on there. This piece, if you look, it's got a couple of it's a thicker part in the middle. This actually is going to be on the bottom, and the magnet will go in here. So again, it doesn't really matter whether it goes this way or this way on the truck. You just want to make sure you get your magnet in there so that it'll stick together. So I'm just going to take that one off just like it is, slip directly into here, and you can just make sure that sticks on there. So now we know the magnet is on correctly. These sidebars, you'll see there's sort of two notches. That will be towards the front of the truck, and then there's one notch, and that goes to the back of the truck. So, and then this larger flat area is the top, and then a little bit more on the bottom. So So basically, this will be the driver's side, and this will be passenger side. So we've got the rear piece, left and right, the center magnet part, and then the front. So doesn't really matter whether you work from front to back or whatever. So we're just going to take the front part here. You'll see it goes in this groove here, and there's a screw hole in the bottom. This entire frame will go together using the 6 screws that are included with the kit. I'm actually going to get these screws started just so that they'll stay in there. So, all right, so here we go. So take this. All right, I'm going to take the other one. And then we're going to take the part with the magnet in it. Get those screws started as well. There we go. All right, now before we put the back on, we're going to go ahead and slide the wood down inside it here. It just slides down just like a picture frame. And then just keep note, these parts stick down, and you've got the magnet, and then you got the hinge. It's just going to slip on right here on the back. And then we're just going to use the last 2 screws that came with the kit. And just remember, you don't have to tighten any of these screws down really tight or anything. I mean, they are metal on plastic, so it is possible to strip these screw holes. All right, so now let's mount the front together. You should still have 2 screws left, the long screws. We're just going to take those. Oops, I did it the wrong way. Put them through here, just like the way it was holding the roll cage on. And then they mount to these tabs that hang down. All right, so now we've got the flatbed put together with the optional light bar. I've got a couple of tools stuck in there. And now to put it on here, it's since these will actually separate just a little bit by hand. All I do is separate it a little by hand, put one side in, press it a little bit, put the other side in. And from there, you now have the flatbed on there. So the magnet should hold it pretty good. It just keeps it from bouncing around when it's moving. So it's not super tight like the body. I didn't really want it to be super strong, so that's why I put a little bit of extra plastic between them. So all right, and make note there's a little arrow on one end of the side rails, and you just have to have that towards the front of the truck. All right, and that's it. She's all done and ready to Ready to haul some stuff.